I don't know about you, but sometimes I look around my garden and I wonder if I could do this all again differently, what would I do? So today we're going to explore that. Hello and welcome to Sproutlogic Gardening. So today I'm going to explore that very question. If I could do this all over again, or what would I do differently if I could, thinking about the garden. Now I've been in this location for about 3 years, so I've had some time to kind of settle in and time to experiment here as well. Well, even before this, the one thing I always did, regardless in the garden, was turn the soil over. And this is the first thing I would do differently. I just recently started doing the no-dig method, and I would never look back going forward. Before I would till the soil, I would add the compost amendments and things. And often what I found is things seemed to be working okay. I didn't notice anything different, at least, until I switched over to no dig. Totally different ballgame. As I did research and looked into things, what I realized was every time I turned over these garden beds, I was destroying the life that lived inside them. And I was hurting nature itself. Ultimately, by just putting compost and things on top, what I've seen is explosive growth. And again, the results speak for themselves. I've been extremely happy with it. So when I think the first thing, it's going to be not tilling the soil and definitely leaning into the no-dig method. Let's go look at the next thing I'd probably change. So the next thing I would definitely change is to not overcomplicate things. I like my garden layout. I'm pretty happy with it, but it's too complicated. What you don't really see is I have irrigation ran from the house to here along the fence, and it wraps all the way around the garden. My beds are spread out across the entire yard. And for me, it's a bit complicated to keep up with. Had I just simply centralized things, and frankly, I would have been better off doing so. I could have kept everything together in a nice, neat area, laid down mulch, had the irrigation in one spot instead of going across the whole yard. It would have been much easier to work with. Don't get me wrong, I think it looks pretty darn good. However, yeah, I just went too crazy. The other thing I did when you talk about complicating things is I planted too many plants. I went crazy. Didn't do my research a lot initially when I first started off doing gardening. And I would plant all kinds of crazy things. I would buy things that were spring only. That sounds great in theory, but what happens after spring? You basically have a garden bed that's completely bare with just a green plant, or sometimes things die back. So, without doing the proper research and just growing things for the sake of growing them, I overcomplicated my situation ultimately. So the big takeaway for me, taking time, understanding your plants, and then going back to some of my earlier videos, just to think about planting in general. Had I centralized everything, the best spot in my garden really is the middle of my lawn. I mean, it gets the most sun, it's not blocked by trees or other things. Now these beds have different layers of sun that they receive. My garden is east facing, but depending on where you're at in the garden, that doesn't apply true across the board. This is definitely the next thing I would do, is I would think about how to make things more simple for myself, for the plants, and also think about when I'm planting, how to keep things in the garden that are less complicated or made a lot more sense. So I think it's time to visit the next part that I'd probably change or do different. Yes, the subject of many videos that I've come out with, especially recently. You probably realize this is one of my bigger pain points, but yeah, what I would do differently is I would definitely not have went with hybrid tea roses. It's been a tough lesson to learn. They are, the only way I can keep them alive, frankly, is extremely high maintenance. I mean, aggressive pruning, maybe 3 canes maximum. I got to thin the leaves out constantly. I'm treating for black spot and aphids. I mean, every other day I'm having to use neem oil. I don't like to use anything, but I have no choice. Otherwise, these would be completely wiped out and dead from both of those things. So even though I have the ladybugs and stuff hanging around, it just simply isn't enough to clear them out. Sometimes they're here, sometimes they're not. So I have to lean in with neem oil. But it's actually a deeper lesson. And the funny story is, if you look at some of my earlier videos, for example, I had that video about white roses. I had gotten 2, a Bolero and a John Paul II. Now the John Paul II is a hybrid tea. I did tons of research. Everything said that, oh yeah, that's the one. Highly resistant, even better than the Yak Bloom and the other one that you have. Yeah, no, it's a hybrid tea. So guess what? In fact, it's doing even worse than these are. It barely has any leaves on it. It's been fighting disease and aphids nonstop. And frankly, it's probably not going to pull through for the season. An expensive lesson to learn, but I learned it. The big takeaway for me, honestly, is, make sure to do your research, but also lean into what works well in your garden. As much as I love the hybrid tea roses, they just don't do well here. It's my climate, it's my microclimate for my garden, it's where I live. And there's nothing I can do differently about that. Simply put, just can't grow them. My Bolero's doing great. My Cloud 10 rose is doing great. They're not hybrid tea roses. That's why. So, lesson learned. Take some time, think about it, and really plan your garden out when it comes to plants. And that's what I would do differently. In fact, the change I'm probably going to do is at the end of the season, these two are coming out, and probably with the John Paul II is coming out as well. So, all right, let's move on to the next thing I would do differently. So the next thing I would change is leaning into nature more. As you can see that cardinal on the ground. The one thing that I kind of did differently recently is I've kind of stepped back and I've allowed nature to come in, including what you can see is the clover that's in my yard and the wildflower garden in the back over there. I mean, I've basically just taken a step back. I've added things in the garden that support nature. You see, I have my bird feeder that Schnorr helped me set up. I got the suet, and then if I rotate a little bit over here, what you're going to notice is I have the hummingbird feeder. Now, interestingly enough, the hummingbird feeder has been attracting not just hummingbirds, but wasps. Now, I know for most people they're like, oh my gosh, wasp, that's bad. No, they are amazing at wiping out pests, and they do a great job of clearing them out. But, I mean, ultimately, when I look around my garden, what I'm seeing consistently is just birds, like you can see on the fence post there, the cardinal I had. By bringing all of nature in, what I'm getting is free pest control. They do a great job. They sweep up and clean up the June bugs and other things that are troublesome in the garden, but it brings some variety too. It's not just the bees or the butterflies, but the birds too. In fact, I even get a visit from a hawk every so often. But that's the next thing I would do differently, as I would have leaned into nature much sooner and added more areas to my garden to give back to nature, because it really has been enjoyable and it's been good for the garden too. So the last thing I would change, hands down, be more patient. That's something I really, really struggle with. I watch Gardener's World. I watch other people on YouTube. I see their gardens and I say, I want that right now. Well, nature doesn't work that way. Trees can grow for hundreds of years. My Roman chamomile is a perfect example. I started it last year, very early, and it grew a giant green mound, and I'm waiting for the flowers. Waiting. Nothing happened. I even debated honestly getting rid of it. I thought something went wrong and it's a dud. Well, I did a little more research. It takes them a year or two to flower. And it's going to pay off this year. I already start seeing flowers coming in on it. Same thing with echinacea. I have an older one there that'll sprout and flower definitely this year for sure. And then I have some young ones I started this year that they're not going to flower probably for 2 or 3 years, and that's okay. But again, it's the patient game. It's taking your time. Could I go out and try to throw as many things as I can in this bed here and there? Sure. Is it worth it? Probably not. What I find is if you take your time, the garden kind of tells you what things go where, what grows best, instead of just trying to shove things in as fast as you can to fill the space. So that's the last thing I definitely would take away from this, is patience really does pay off when it comes to gardening. Now, this was an interesting video, right? I think as an experienced gardener or even someone new in the hobby, these are things we often forget about. We don't think about, right? They seem simple enough, but they're often overlooked. And the last thing I'll leave you with as well is remember, it's not too late to make a change. Nothing is stopping you from changing something in your garden. If you think you can bring more benefit to it by making one of these changes, I highly recommend you go ahead and follow it and do it. Hopefully this video was helpful. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And also, if you have any questions, concerns, if you want me to make a certain type of video that I haven't made yet, please drop it in the comments. I'll see you on the next video. Take it easy.